Hello again. Today we're going to be talking about the first New Zealand dollar, or the first New Zealand decimal currency. In 1964, the Decimal Currency Act was passed, and that act meant that the government was going to change the currency from the pound to the dollar in the next couple of years. The reason for this was that the pound was considered too cumbersome and it was considered too complicated. The reason for this is obviously, if you've watched the last video, 1 penny equaled 1/240th of the pound, and each of the coins represented a fraction of the pound, which could be complicated for some to do in daily transactions. On Monday the 10th of July in 1967, Decimal Currency Day happened, in which the New Zealand pound was replaced by the New Zealand dollar. And so 1 New Zealand pound equaled 2 New Zealand dollars. So everyone who had £1 given to the bank, and they would receive 2 New Zealand dollars in return. The New Zealand dollar was pegged to the US currency. It was pegged to 1.216 US dollars to 1 New Zealand dollar. And this was from 1967 to 1973. From 1985, the New Zealand dollar was floated on the international market, and since then it has fluctuated with supply and demand. So the New Zealand dollar is one of the highest traded currencies currently in the international market, and it has been that way for quite some time. So it is an attractive currency to have. However, this is obviously in digital form, not in coinage. So the first New Zealand dollar, the first decimal currency in New Zealand, had several coins, some of which you might not be familiar with. Firstly, there was a 1 cent piece, a 2 cent piece, a 5 cent piece, 10 cent, 20 cent, and 50 cents. There was a 1 New Zealand dollar coin, and there was a 2 New Zealand dollar coin. So here are some of the coins of the first decimal currency. Here you can see the 1 cent piece, there is the 2 cent piece, and there is the 5 cent piece. The 1 cent piece has a fern frond on it, the 2 cent has 2 kowhai flowers, and the 5 cent has a tuatara. Over here you will see the 10 cent piece with 1 shilling written on the bottom, which you might think is a little bit different, and the 20 cent piece, and the second largest coin in the Commonwealth at the time, which is the 50 cent piece. The 10 cent piece, as you can see, has a Māori carved face with pulling the pukana, which is poking out the tongue, and the 20 cent piece has the kiwi on it, and the 50 cent piece has the HMS Endeavour. Now, many of you will recognise all of these coins from the current coinage that we have, except things might look a little bit different. We'll talk about the differences in another video. The 1 and 2 cent pieces were made of bronze, and the 50, 20, 10 and 5 cent pieces were all made of cupro nickel. So as you can see here, I have the New Zealand pound alongside the new first ever New Zealand decimal currency, the New Zealand dollar. So as you can see here, the threepence is roughly the same size as the 1 cent piece. The 2 cent piece doesn't have an equivalent, and the sixpence is roughly the same size as the 5 cent piece. Over here you'll see the shilling. That says 1 shilling on the bottom, and then you'll see the new 10 cent piece, which also says 1 shilling on the bottom. You'll see the New Zealand florin, with the Kiwi facing left, and the new 20-cent piece with the Kiwi facing to the right. You'll see the half crown with the New Zealand coat of arms, and then to the right you'll see the 50-cent piece with the Endeavour on it. So, the reason why they kept these coinage similar in size is because their denomination was similar and their value was very, very similar. So in regards to metal composition of the first decimal currency of New Zealand, the New Zealand dollar, the 1-cent coin was 2 grams and it was made of bronze, and the 2-cent coin was 4.14 grams and also made of bronze. The 5-cent piece and the 10-cent piece, 20-cent and 50-cent pieces were all made of cupro-nickel, as discussed in the other video. And the 5-cent piece was 2.83 grams, the 10-cent piece was 5.66 grams, the 20-cent piece was 11.31 grams, and the 50-cent piece was 13.61 grams. You may also have noticed that the first New Zealand dollar is missing the $1 and $2 coins that you know today. We did not get $1 and $2 coins until 1991. Well, I hope you found that video informative. I'll be following up this video with one on the update to the decimal currency, so New Zealand decimal currency 1.1, and the second decimal coinage or decimal currency which came about in the 2000s. So, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye! And if you're wondering, the watch that I'm wearing right now is a 1970s manual wind and automatic Timex with a brown calfskin leather strap, which is in the form of an alligator leather pattern.